Hello and welcome to the RC Settlements Working Group. My name is Isabella Nicosia from ISO Stakeholder Affairs, and I'll be facilitating the webinar. There are a few other ISO representatives in the room, so I'll have them introduce themselves starting to my left.
Alexandra Dasku.
Amir Safari.
Elizabeth Caldwell. April Gordon.
Jeremy Malekos.
Cynthia Hinman. Myville.
TJ.
Today's call is being recorded, and the video file will be posted on the ISO website for a limited time. The recording is for stakeholder convenience, and any related transcription should not be reprinted without the ISO's permission. The presentation for today's call is available on the User Groups and Recurring Meetings webpage on the ISO website and will be available on the RC portal shortly. We're leaving the lines open for this call, so if you have any questions, please feel free to speak up. But I just want to remind everyone to please introduce themselves before asking your question. And if you're not planning to speak, please be sure to manually mute your phones too, so we can avoid background noise. With that, I'll hand it over to Alexandra.
Thank you, Isabella. So on the slide, today's agenda includes going over the data validation status, which should be complete by now, the production environment certificate request, MRIS UI enhancement. We'll go over a how-to guide for uploading, for submitting your NEL-NG data via this new user interface, the RC Services MRIS enhancements, Settlement CDT, next steps and the production timeline, and then finally a slide on contact information to remind you how to contact us if you have questions or issues. So this is the same slide we presented last week. It's a reminder of everything, all the statements and invoices that have been published during data validation that you should have been able to download by now. The purpose of the exercises during the last few weeks is to simulate and prepare you for the actions required in the production environment. This includes being able to submit your net energy load or net generation volumes, as well as retrieving the statements and invoices from MRIS. For the production environment certificate, where you will need to request a read-write access for RC roles to access the production portal the same way as you did for the map stage environment, which was the testing environment. Please get this access before 8/26 in preparation for the first publication of the HANA statement and invoice on 8/30, as well as for the submission of the NEL-NG data starting with September 3rd. And also, please be reminded that we're expecting that you are updating the contact list for your organization on the RC portal. This is very important, so please make sure you do that. You check on the RC portal the contact list for your entity and make sure it's accurate. Now, as far as the MRIS for the user interface.
Oh, there's a little bit of background noise, so just be sure that your phones are manually muted.
Or if there are any questions right now? No? Okay. So this new user interface for MRIS is expected to be open in MapStage tomorrow, but it's pending some security testing. So we will send the Bronto message if that changes. We're asking you to please test this user interface until 8/20. For those of you who did not submit during data validation, this is another opportunity to please do so until 8/20 as you test the user interface. But just as a reminder, this is still a testing environment, and everything that you submit is still for testing purposes. Nothing new will be published based on this new submission, any additional submissions. It's also important to note that what you have submitted so far you will need to do again during production. You'll need to submit in production the values that will be used in the actual charges. This is just for testing purposes. So this is a screenshot of what this new user interface will look like. There's a new link there for the production environment. You will need to choose the net energy zone for the entity from the drop-down menu. You will also select the trade period of the bill year. So in this case, the first year is going to be January 1st, 2020, and then the end date, December 31st, 2020. You will type in your NEL or NG up to 8 decimal places, just like you had done before in the XML file, and then you will click Submit. And the validation will be a successful message, and you'll be able to see what you submitted, or messages about errors, whether you selected the wrong net energy zone or you typed in the wrong date. Are there any questions on this?
Yes, this is Rachel with NVE. I just had a quick question on this. Are we supposed to be able to see the webinar, or are there additional documents that are supposed to be forwarded to us?
Yes, you should be able to see the webinar. Are you having issues logging in?
I'm not able to see it, and then I was actually given this meeting last minute, so I don't have any documents. I'm wondering if maybe if there are documents, if maybe they could be sent over to me?
Yeah, the presentation is actually available on the ISO website on our recurring user groups and meetings page under the Stay Informed tab.
I'm sorry, I apologize. Can you or the URL to be able to access it?
What was that? Sorry, you cut out.
What is the URL to be able to access the webinar from the site? So it's available on the...
Yeah, if you go to the main website, kaiso.com, and then it's under our Stay Informed tab at the top, Meetings and Events.
Getting there, apologies.
And then it's
Stay Informed and what was it?
Meetings and Events.
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing everybody. Hold on one sec. So Stay Informed on the Cal ISO site, and then where from there?
And then under the Stay Informed tab, you should see a Meetings and Events.
Under Stay Informed? Yep, there it is. Okay, got it. Click on that.
And then down on that page, there's User Groups and Recurring Meetings.
Looking. Recurring Meetings. Is it on the green or recurring meetings?
No, it's on the main page. It should be like a blue hyperlink.
Second one from the bottom.
Oh, there it is at the bottom. Okay. Okay, it's loading. And then
it should be under the RC Settlements group.
Working group, okay. And then 2019 meeting or the web page?
Yep, the 2019 meetings, and you'll find the presentations labeled RC Settlements Working Group, August 13th.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
And we're on slide 5.
Perfect. Thank you.
Now, as a recap for regarding the MRIS enhancements, the request to display the bill period start and end dates has been implemented, so you will be able to see the service period starting with the RC recalc statement and invoice publication on 8/6. So if you go back in and retrieve that, you'll be able to see the correct display of the bill period start and end. As far as the new UI, as I mentioned, this is the new user interface to submit your NEL and NG volumes. That's expected to be open in the map stage environment tomorrow, pending some final security testing. Again, this is still a testing environment. The PDF option available for statements and invoices was already published on 7/25 for the HANA statement and invoice, and 7/30 publication for the RC initial statement and invoice. As far as the RC informational statement PDF file format, that is expected to be ready in the production environment with the 10/30 publication. Now, as far as the Settlement CDT, that's also expected to be available online tomorrow. This will address how to navigate MRIS to submit your NEL NG data, as well as how to retrieve your statements and invoices.
It's actually available now, so you can look at it right now. It's on the website. However, it does not have the new upload option on it, so it may be updated by next week, but as of this writing, it has what it has. So we'll continue to keep it current. So it has useful information about uploading and statements and invoices for both HANA and your RC statements.
Thank you, Cynthia. And this is the location of where you can go ahead and find the training template. Okay, now as far as next steps and preparing for the production environment, a couple of things. Most importantly, please go ahead and start requesting access to the production environment, and we're asking that you verify that you have this access by 8/26, so about a week from today. This is really important. Please start doing this as soon as possible. If you have not been able to download all of the statements and invoices that have already been published as part of data validation between 7/23 and 8/6, you're still able to do that in the map stage environment. Again, this is a test environment, so please go ahead and download those statements and invoices. You will be able to test this new user interface in MRIS map stage for submitting the volumes. Again, that's expected tomorrow, and we encourage you to test it and submit volumes even if you have already, so you can test this new functionality or user interface. And just a reminder to please make sure you update the contact list on the RC portal for your organization. Now for the production timeline for both RC Services and HANA, you can see here the key dates and key action, whether it's the RC West or you as the customer, what the expectation is. The first publication will be on 8/30. We will publish the initial HANA statement and invoice, and this really ties back to making sure that you have access to the production environment by 8/26, so that you have, that's just 4 days before you will need to be able to retrieve this HANA statement and invoice. And again, this is for HANA customers only. And as a reminder, in production, these are financially binding, so this is a real deal. On 10/1, the payment due date for HANA, that's when we will be expecting to receive payments for those who have elected HANA services. Now, between September 3rd and the end of September, 9/3 to 9/30, you as the customer must submit the 2018 NEL NG volumes in MRIS. And again, this is for those that are external to the CAISO Balancing Authority area. Only you need to submit. The end of October, 10/30, we will publish the RC informational statement. This statement will list the volumes that we have received from your submissions by 9/30. And we publish this so that you have an opportunity to review these volumes that will be used in the actual invoice. So you will have an additional month until December 2nd to validate those volumes from the RC informational statement and resubmit if necessary or correct your data. January 2nd, that's the first business day of 2020. That's when we will publish the RC Services charges statement and invoice. This will include 2019 and 2020 charges on a single invoice. And payment for that will be due on January 31st. Are there any questions on the RC Services and HANA production timeline? Okay. And finally, this is just a reminder slide with our contact information so that in case you have issues, again, please submit CD tickets if you have issues accessing or with your roles or being able to retrieve your statements and invoices, but this is for your reference after this meeting as well.
And are there any questions on any of the material we discussed? All right, that concludes today's call. Thank you very much for joining us, and have a great rest of your day.
That concludes our conference. Thank you for using AT&T Event. You may now disconnect.